Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, mindset mentor and founder of the Awakened Goddess Academy. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Hey, I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. Alexandria is your transformational coach with angelic insights. She's an award-winning author and the co-creator of Angel Chatter, the source for all things inspirational and angelic. Chris's mission in life is to help inspire and empower you. Through this empowerment, the essence of self-love is raised, allowing you to ask and receive what is most desired. The only question that remains is, will you allow yourself to receive? Today, Chris and I talk about how to chat with angels and ask for help. Plus, we'll see if they have a special message for us. But before I talk with Chris, are you tired of relationships not working out for you? Maybe you don't want to bother with online dating, but you feel like you're running out of options. Join me for my upcoming Love Spark webinar, and I'll share 5 powerful steps to help you find true love in time for the holidays. I've mentored clients through these same 5 steps who've met their soulmate and are now happily married. So grab your spot for the webinar today at bit.ly/love-webinar. That's bit.ly/love-webinar. See you there. And now let's talk to Chris. Well, welcome, Chris, to the Awakened Goddess Show. Thank you so much for being here because we're going to chat about angels. So welcome.
Thank you, Angela, so much for having me on.
Yeah.
I already feel like I'm chatting with a kindred spirit.
Oh, yes. Well, the thing is we've been like in the same circle for several years now.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
And I remember like the first time I became aware of your work, I think you were creating your first deck of cards.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
That's
been like, what, 4?
3.5 years the deck's been officially out. Gosh, has it really been 5 years that we've known each other?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. That's crazy talk.
I know. It was before I even had the show. So it's so exciting now to have you here. And so we get to just have so much fun and see where the angels are going to guide us. So let's start. First, I would like to know how you first started communicating with angels, how you became aware of it, and what that process was like for you.
We only have an hour, right? Gosh, it's one of those things. Apparently I've been doing this my whole life, but let's face it, chatting with angels is on the rather unusual side. It's not like I'm a plumber or an accountant or a model or a lawyer or a doctor. It's different. So my dad, being this amazing, brilliant chemical engineer, he developed formulas in college that they're still teaching. And then my mom is this great domestic goddess. To this day, they have yet to ask me what angel I am chatting with. And what message my parents love me, they adore me, they support everything I do, but they've yet to ask. So of course, being human, we all want to fit in. So this little quirk of mine got shoved really, really, really far down. And I had no idea that this was one of my gifts. Mm-hmm. And if you had told me when I was a teenager, I probably would have called it a curse. But it was way after I got married, had our 2 daughters, I was having a phone reading. So I was the only human in the house. And the woman called in a bunch of other angels, but one of the angels she called in was Ariel, Ariel. And before I could stop myself or think about how I was going to respond, I went, "Oh, Pinky!" but I said it a whole lot louder. And I honestly don't remember anything else of that whole conversation. My husband was traveling at the time, so I go to bed that night, and I said, okay, everybody that was in this reading today, front and center now. So now, expecting Ariel to come in, I went, it's you. So because it was then explained that she's my guardian angel, and she is the color pink. So as a child in the crib, did not know the name Ariel, but I knew the color pink. So I called her Pinky.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
So that was a way for me. It's something I've always been interested in. We all, girls, a lot of us do those seances at slumber parties, all those little goofy things we do.
Yes.
And when I was out on my own, my roommate and I would do card readings every Sunday night with this really weird thing we Xerox, that's how long ago, with Xerox, that we put together. And so this has always been a big part of me. Now, when I started getting into this, my husband said I did a switch and bait. However, my friends that have known me much longer than him, they go, it's about damn time.
Yeah.
So they know this has always been a part of me. And actually, probably more than I did.
Yeah, that's interesting how they were able to see it, and that you were, like you said, you shoved it down so far, so deep. And I wonder just how many people do that. I mean, that seems to be,
Angela, we all have this desire to fit in. We want to be part of the cool kids in high school. Mm-hmm. We want to be with the in crowd. And, looking back, we're going, oh, just get me through high school. It's really not all that it's cracked up to be. It's a big growing for us all, trying to figure out who we are. And it's the rare individual that really understands that at that point of their life. And, it developed, this pushing down developed into a physical twitch that my parents actually had me medically tested for. Uh-huh. And once I came to terms with it, the twitch stopped. And it was just one of those that, being so sensitive, not empathic, but just sensitive to energies around me, and being, I tell people in a fun way, I'm a little Miss Know-It-All. I just kind of know things, but not understanding. I would get challenged on it a lot growing up. How do you know that? And I'm going, don't you? It just came so naturally. I began to push it down and push it down. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel safe here. Not like someone was going to hurt me, but I just didn't feel I could be me. Mm-hmm. And once I began to feel safer to be me, and really that's only happened in the last several years. That closet door opened up and I closed it again. It opened up. Is it safe? Oh, no. And I came back in. And it's when the cards came out. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? Can't hide anymore. I'm out of the closet, people. This is what I do. But there are still times. Like, okay, can I say this, or what is shut up? Can I say this? Is it safe, or how do I share this? So, just today I put a new blog post on, and I am not the best blogger in the sense where every Tuesday, I'm going to get a blog from Angel Chatter. I put a blog out when I have something important to say. Mm-hmm. And today was one of those days, and it was about love and how we've made it so conditional to the point we now say we have to have unconditional love. And I'm like, love is love. Yeah. Love has no conditions. So it's one of those that, okay, I've been stewing on that one for many, many months, but it keeps coming up on all different social medias. Unconditional love. I'm like, oh my God, stop. Yeah. Stop already. So it was one of those, all right, I'm out of the closet again. And now I'm so far out. I know the closet door has shut, locked, padlocked, safety bolted, and there is never, ever, ever going back. Mm-hmm.
And isn't that cool, though, when you get to that point where you feel like you, it's almost like disrobing, like you're taking off your robe and you're just standing there in all your glory. Here I am, and you're comfortable and you feel safe enough that you don't have to put it back on.
Oh, absolutely. There are no more masks. There is no more what hat am I wearing tonight? Am I the, chief financial officer's wife at a cocktail party? Am I mommy? Am I a daughter? I'm always me.
Mm-hmm.
I may look really grungy, on any given day, and I may be all angel-fied, as I call it when we do shows, but I'm still me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be quirky. That's just part of who I am. Right. I've gotten very comfortable flying that freak flag high, and it's a whole lot more fun. It's very liberating.
It is. It's
very, very liberating, and I certainly have the Wing and Halo gang to thank for that.
So do you actually see them?
No, okay. I don't. Seeing is not one of my fortes. Mm-hmm. I have gotten glimpses. So when I get a scent, or I literally hear, or I see them, I know that they're really beating my head, beating me over the head with their wings, saying, "You're not paying attention. Mm-hmm. Snap to." Mm-hmm. So for me, it's more of that movie screen inside my head. And like I said, just a sense of knowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I imagine part of the process was that discrimination between your own thoughts and your own intuition. Because what would be the difference between your own higher self and your intuition versus angel chatter?
That's great. And let's throw one more thing into the mix, ego.
Well, yes.
It gives you illusions of grandeur, yes. Or it can spoon feed you phrases or thoughts like, who do you think you are? Mm-hmm. Who are you to be channeling messages of the angels? And then you start hanging your head in shame. But then, being very creative, I have a vivid imagination. Mm-hmm. So is it me or is it them? And it's a beautiful question. And with me, it's more, I know the ideas they're giving me for perhaps a new product, a new jewelry design, or like I shared with you earlier, working on my third book, all of these different things. And with them, it's really hard to describe because it's my personal thing, but it's just more a sense of peaceful knowing. Mm-hmm. With the angelic message, there's never any kind of thought or emotion that has your head ever hanging in shame, mm-hmm. ever, because they can be sarcastic, they can be funny, but they're always loving and supportive. And I've just seen it happen too many times where when I work with clients, whether it's by the phone or in person, that I just know stuff about them because they've gotten comfortable enough with me that, and sometimes it's kind of hard because I had a client about a year ago, and I've actually met her at a show, and readings at shows are only 20 minutes. So I call them the quick and dirty readings. And she sat down and I just could not get past that she was being abused in her marriage. Mm. And if they are very insistent on something, I will not get another message until I say it. So I asked her, and it went on from there. And yes, she had been, unfortunately, and she came to see me a couple of weeks ago. I didn't recognize her. It had been a year, but her energy had changed. She goes, well, and she reminded me. And I said, wow. I go, you're no longer in the relationship. She says, no. I said, yeah, because there's no more abuse around you. Yeah. Wow. So it's just this sense that they give me, the sense of knowing. And a client reached out to me today. She goes, am I pregnant? I went, yep. And I said, oh, yeah, by the way, get 2 of everything.
Oh,
she's
no.
like, oh my gosh. So it's a lot of fun. How everybody gets their own sense of, or signs. And once you get a sign, it's not going to be a sign that you're going to have necessarily forever and ever. Like we've all perhaps have heard those confirmation chills. They heard or said something. Oh, I just got chills. Mm-hmm. Like every time I share the Pinky story, I get chills. I had a friend years ago that her thumb would twitch. This little, it's, it was a quirky little thing. She goes, but that, it's something I couldn't make happen. And it was just this involuntary thumb would twitch. And she says, that's how I knew it was real. Other people, especially when I do readings, my clients will take a big sigh. Like, they just released and they heard a truth. Mm-hmm. So the signs that we get, they're always involuntary. We can't make this crap up. We can't make our body do something in order to confirm. Like, we can make pendulums, as an example, are a great tool, but we're so powerful, we can make it say yes or no.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very hard. It can be a difficult tool to get a true answer from, because you may wish so much for an event to happen. Mm-hmm. It's going to say, yeah, of course it's going to happen. And then, of course, when it doesn't, you get upset.
And then you keep asking. You keep asking until you get the answer you want.
And then that too. That's not the card I wanted. I want a different card. Yeah. No. And eventually the right card will show up. You'll go, okay, see, I told you.
Yeah. I wasn't clear in my question.
Right, exactly. We can always, and there's that ego. It's not, I'm not being clear enough. I'm not being good enough. I'm not being, there's the key. I'm not being. Mm-hmm. And once we can be, that's when we get the clear answers.
Yeah.
It's just really allowing yourself to get to the heart space. And which it can be confusing, because the third eye, of course, is in our forehead, mm-hmm. in our head. So's our brain. Am I making this crap up? But it's also where ego lives. So we got those three little partners playing together. Or usually not. They're always arguing. But one of the tips I always give to clients is that when we put our hands over our heart's the birthplace of the soul. If it's our soul, it's never going to lie to us. Mm-hmm. It may warn us, like, don't go down that dark alley. That's warning. So never lies to us. So you can always, is this a truth? Is this made up crap? Is this my ego? Or if it's a truth, it will settle in. If it's a non-truth, it just kind of floats away, akin to a balloon in the air. It just, you find yourself having a little bit of ADD. You can't remember it anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you get messages, like you said before, when you're working with a client, that if it's something that it's really important you get, the angels are persistent.
Yes.
But loving.
But very loving. Yes, but I do call it wing slapping. You're not paying attention. Say it already.
I just get this image in my head. So then when you're communicating with angels, you talked about archangels. So mm-hmm. Are you also communicating with angels? Or
yeah.
And how do you know the difference?
They collectively talk to me. Mm-hmm. I did a radio show, I don't know, I think in the last year. And it was a very interesting experience for me, because I've just grown to accept this is what I do. And she wanted to actually chat a little bit with each of the 14 angels that are in my card deck individually. Hmm. I went, okay, never done that before, but yeah. Sure, why not? But it was really interesting for me because it was very subtle, but with each angel, there was a definite difference. Mm-hmm. My voice changed slightly. I didn't go from here to here. It's very, very subtle. So unless you really know me, you probably wouldn't have picked up on it, how my body would situate itself in the response, and how my posture would shift. Like, oh, this is really interesting. So I thanked her for that. They're like, oh, this, because it was just very enlightening and confirming to me on the different energies that they do have. I have a feeling you're going to be asking me, see, archangels actually work very much with humanity. But I am of the firm belief, because of what they have told me, we as humans never become angels. Mm. We become guides. Mm-hmm. Like my grandfathers are always hanging out. In fact, my paternal grandfather, when he retired, he would draw. We have hundreds and hundreds of drawings that we would call sacred geometry. only using mathematical equations. So he was very instrumental in one of my jewelry designs. I'm doodling one day and this image came out. I went, oh, hey, thanks, Grandpa. Yeah. But he's not an angel. We may use that term lightly, saying, oh, Angela's such an angel, and interpreting that meaning you're very loving, you're very joyous, you're very pure. Mm-hmm. Now, angels can incarnate and pop in as humans. Oh, okay. So, as an example, years and years ago, my husband and I went on a second honeymoon. And we took the boat from Europe back to the States. And my parents had been watching our daughters. My dad had gone home. They lived in Delaware. We lived in Massachusetts at the time. And my dad went home because he had some work things to do. And my dad, we just can't leave him alone too long. He ends up getting into something. And this was no exception. He wasn't feeling well. I forget the circumstances. But there were about 2 days left of our trip. And, of course, we're on this boat. And there was no communication. But my mom arranged for our neighbor to take care of the girls. Everything was cool. But, of course, when we hear this, Mama Bear gets into action. I've got to get the next train home. I want to go, all of this thing. And we were docking. I'm making times up, say at 10. The next train was leaving at 12, and the one after that wasn't until 8 that night. Mm-hmm. 8 o'clock was not an option as far as I was concerned. So we get through customs. We get to Grand Central Station. The taxi pulls up, and I kid you not, there had to be 3-4 cars deep on the curb, and there's not a red cap in sight. Hop out of the car, grab my purse, turn around, grab my purse out of the cab, turn around again, and there's this red cap right next to me. And he says, can I help you? I said, as a matter of fact, you can. And told him the situation. He says, not a problem. Let me help you. Got us over to the counter. He says, I'm just going to stand right here next to the escalator. Of course, my husband, being the trusting soul that he is, he says, watch him. Because we had already been a little duped by gypsies in Europe. So, it was a little fresh in our head. Yeah. And I said, no, it's fine. He says, just watch him. I said, okay, fine. So I turned around and he looked at me and he was like, hey, he just kind of waved at me. He just calmly stood there. I'm like, see, he's fine. Got the tickets, go downstairs. He puts us in the train, loads the luggage. We turn to give him a tip and he's gone. Mm. We walk out of the train, look up and down the platform. The platform is empty.
Wow.
So angels pop in. Now, had she shown up looking like a gypsy, like, yeah, not going to give you our luggage. We did that once, silly us, already. We're not doing it again. Showed up as a nurse, very respectable, but why are you helping me? Mm-hmm. As a red cap.
Yeah.
So they pop in when needed.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Was it a life and death emergency? Absolutely not. But it's something that I really, really wanted to be home. Mm-hmm. And they made it work.
Yeah, you've had that really strong energy about your intention and clarity of what you wanted to do and how to get there.
Exactly. So they do this all the time.
Love that.
They do it all the time. And they show up in all sorts of ways. We had taken the girls to Italy once. And my husband had been doing some research about the Italian involvement during World War II. Not just from the war standpoint, but, the Allies. So he had gone to Europe and was doing a bunch of different research, and he found the oldest synagogue, I think it was in Rome. So he was sharing this with us when we were there. This little man, looked like a little leprechaun, comes over and just starts sharing stories about the synagogue with us. Entertained us for a good 45 minutes. And we thanked him very much and turned and walked away. So the girls were walking in front of us. My husband leans over. He says, you think he was an angel, don't you? And I just looked at him and I grinned. I said, yeah, it's more important that you do. Mm-hmm. And I turned around to wave to the man, and he looked at me, winked, and vanished.
Oh.
Right before my eyes. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. So the point is that they show up in all sorts of different ways. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's only, to share a piece of history, or sometimes it's to get you on the train, or sometimes it is to stop and prevent your car from going into a, near-death accident. Mm-hmm. And everything and anything in between. So it's pretty cool.
So what about your day-to-day? How are they interacting with you on a daily basis?
Oh, it's just nonstop chatter, honey. There
How do you
is
get anything
no
done?
agenda. Now, I may have like, okay, I've got a great, radio show to do with Angela today, and they'll go, okay, that's fine. And then after that, they tell me what I'm going to be doing on any given day. So I have learned to accept. Sometimes digging in my heels. No, I need to do this today. Like, really? No, you don't. Now, how's my energy today? Oh, today's a good day for writing. Maybe today's a good day for cleaning, or it's a good day to, focus on ad campaigns. So they guide me on any given day. And to the observer, my sister visited me for a bit. She goes, "You really don't sit still much." And I said, "Well, I work on a certain part of the book, but then it has to process. So then I'll go do something to break the momentum, and I can go back again with fresh eyes." Mm-hmm. And it's just a process for me that works. We have a very large dog, and for those of you that have seen me on social media, have seen Gabby, I'm sure, at some point. And she's a real dog. I call her my yogi dog. So when we're out doing our daily walks, it's a great time for chatting. It's very much like a walking meditation for me. Mm-hmm. Looking at different signs from, silly things that may seem silly, but looking at the shadows a leaf might cast onto a sidewalk. So yesterday, I haven't posted it yet, but there was a leaf, and I'm looking at it, but the shadow looked like a little person saying, "Hi." Oh. So it's just these fun little things that make you smile, that keep you going. Mm-hmm. So by working with them, how they affect me, it's always because I'm human. I have an ego, and the ego's saying I must be busy, I must be productive, I must be. They are always helping me to stay more present, and by having really great conversations where nothing else outside the conversation is really heard. Mm-hmm. And we can really open up that heart channel and get a little bit deeper, feel like kindred spirits very quickly, because there's not a lot of outside influence going on.
So would you say that you have just gotten into a habit of asking more questions? Or did they kind of guide you in it was more like they directed you, and then you created this relationship with them where they're guiding you versus you just constantly asking questions?
It's a mixture of both, honestly. So the third book that I've mentioned earlier, that's been going on probably at least 2 years, if not 3. It's been going on. It's been going on for a while, in other words, and it's been piecemealed. And how do I want it to gel? How do I want to focus it? And really, what's the purpose of the book besides just me, putting out another book, which was never not my intention. And they have been pushing me in the last 2 or 3 months. I go, okay, it's time. It's time. It's time. So it's a very rare day that I'm not playing with the book in some form or fashion. I may only write 2 sentences, and I'll go, I'm really kind of tired. And they go, yeah, we kind of know. So go do something else. Go sit and watch TV and do some needlework and just decompress, because I am a bit of an overachiever. I know that. I am a Mary Poppins wannabe, so everything has got to be practically perfect in every way. And at least I know that about myself, and that's part of what they're teaching me as well. Stop being so difficult on you. Mm-hmm. Practice what you preach. Be a little gentle. Maybe go to the beach today and just read for an hour with the hoodie on at this time of year, and take it easy. Mm-hmm. And that's part of one of the big things that they have certainly been helping with me. They have told me, gosh, way before the card deck came out, way before the card deck they had told me, and I laughed many, many months at them, we need another angel card deck.
Right.
This is the ongoing conversations I have with them. But they have shown me, and it's never really waffled on where I and Angel Chatter is going. It is about truly helping other people become inspired and become empowered with obviously angelic insights with angelic humor, wisdom, support, and all of that stuff. So, and that's never changed. What's changed is how it's evolving and who I am blessed to connect with. And I know each time I connect with people and there's that really great connection, the energy just gets higher and higher and higher. And the message gets clearer, not only for me, but for those that are listening, whether it's a one-on-one conversation or a radio show or a TV show. And so it's just a blast. So that's another reason I know it's them. The message hasn't changed.
Yeah, so consistency.
Right, so it's the consistency. It's the journey certainly has changed. You know, we are so powerful, all of us. We can manifest anything we want in 30 seconds or less. But because we may not think we're worthy to have it, or who do we think we are? We're getting too big for our britches, or a whole host of any other things.
Or simply just not believing.
Not believing. I'm making this crap up.
Yep.
Especially when we live in such a world that it's the show me, prove it.
Yeah.
Black and white, very little gray areas, very little, I can't believe it, or I have a hard time believing it unless I see it. And that's always a fun one to address. And I'll say, well, you know, have you ever seen $1 billion? Well, no. I go, does it mean it doesn't exist? Oh. Or I get a lot, I've never heard of that angel before. I said, that's okay. Did you know me before today? No. Does it mean I didn't exist before today? Oh.
That's a great way to reframe it.
Yeah, so it's just because we don't know it or see it or haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But it's learning, and this is part of my fun journey, is understanding the words better so people can get the message sooner. And I'm sure you've seen that too. You know, seeing clients. Okay, I know a lot of crap about you, but I can't tell you because you're not ready.
Yeah, or they just don't hear it. Yeah.
Right. So you might as well be talking to the wall. You'll get about that much of a response out of it. So, but at the same time, you find, I'm sure, the language you use changes based on who you're with. It's not changing you, but you're allowing their message to come through so they understand it.
Yeah, it's like the examples I use are just kind of feel random to me, but then it resonates with them.
Exactly. So these are all the different ways that angels do work with and through us.
So they are here with us all the time, and we just
absolutely
need to tune into that.
Well, we just need to shut up.
Well, that too, probably.
Well, yeah, because you ask, do I ask questions, or do I? We're great at asking questions. We're not so good at being quiet so we get the answer. One of my missions, as they have told me, is to help make the angels more accessible and not such an event. Basically make it a day-to-day thing, a daily thing. Make it as mainstream as possible. Because I did a lecture a couple of months ago, and one of the women in the audience asked me, she goes, well, is there a certain ceremony you have to do in order to connect with Archangel Michael? Because that's who we were talking about that night. And by then, the audience had picked up that I use humor a lot. And I looked at her and smiled, and I looked around the room, and I said, absolutely. You've got to genuflect, then you've got to do 10 jumping jacks and twirl around on your head 4 times, and then maybe you'll have permission to talk with him. And she looked at me and she goes, I said, no. There is nothing special you have to do. Now, if you wish to make it a ceremony, by all means. When I sit down to write, and I'm working on the book, because a lot of the book is channeled information, I'll light a candle. Because it's more for me, it's that Pavlov dog syndrome. I light the candle, my body goes, okay, we're going to do this now. Right. It's not that I need to light the candle in order to have a connection with them, but my body just switches mental faculties.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great reason to do little ceremonies or rituals. It's for us, not for anybody. And it's not for the spirit world.
No, they just care less. They're just like, okay, there she goes again.
They're like,
well,
okay.
Like yesterday, like last night was the new moon. So I had told my Facebook group, okay, today's the new moon. Today's a great day to proclamate the new things you wish to do, starting effective immediately. And here's a ceremony you can do. Mm-hmm. You don't have to. You can just sit there and talk with them, and it's just as effective. But it feels more powerful for us to do that. We've done something symbolic to call them in and to make it. And maybe in some ways, and because we're taking that moment to focus, it is more powerful.
Yeah, it's kind of like we're giving ourselves a permission slip.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's one thing to say, I'm really grateful for chatting with Angela today. How long did that take to say? 10 seconds, right? So if I typed it, it might take 15, 20 seconds. I'm a pretty fast typist. But if I wrote it out longhand in my gratitude journal, it takes a bit longer. Mm-hmm. And so that energy of gratitude gets the chance to go a little bit deeper.
Sure. Yeah, because you're really much more mindful about it.
Exactly. So ceremonies absolutely can play a part because it gives us a chance to stop, focus, be more mindful, and be aware of what we're doing. Mm-hmm.
So I think that ties into your book, the Askformations book. So, yeah. How is it? Now I can't say it. Askformations is different than affirmations.
Okay. Well, affirmations are statements. I am powerful. I am intuitive. I am abundant. That's a big one for everybody. Mm-hmm. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful statements. They are powerful. But if there's a morsel within us that doesn't believe, we'll use abundance because everybody seems to have a money hang up somewhere along the line. I am abundant. Here comes the ego. Yeah. And it goes, oh, really?
Yeah. No, you're not.
Ditto. What does that pile of bills say? Or what is what's the balance of your checkbook right now? Mm-hmm. And you proclaim, I am abundant. Oh, really? Is that a fact, darling? And you begin to say, this is stupid. Yeah. At best. But then we're really good at asking what I call mind fodder questions. Why can't I ever make ends meet? Mm-hmm. Why don't I have more money? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, that's kind of like that inner dialogue, that running tape all the time.
And we just never shut up when it comes to that. And one of the laws of the universe, though, says I answer every question you ask, literally. Mm. So if you're saying, why can't I ever make ends meet? Universe is not go, oh, darling, Angela, honey, I know what you really mean, and you're going to give you so much money, and you're going to have more. But that's not what you asked.
Right.
You said, why can't I ever make ends meet? The ends, believe it or not, will get further and further apart, making you ask that question more and more and more.
I can certainly resonate with that. I'm sure. I wonder how many of the listeners out there.
Yeah, unfortunately, many people could resonate with that question. Yeah. But here's the beauty of it. A lot of times we say those questions in frustration. We're not even consciously aware we're asking them. Like my husband's classic is, why does everything take twice as long to do? So everything does take twice as long. So I have pointed this out. So he has actually stopped asking that question. So an askformation is a affirmation in the form of question. It's going to use the same formula, meaning we ask, shh, be quiet, and the universe answers. Mm-hmm. So what pulled me completely out of the closet was, why is it safe for me to be me? Everybody in the whole world can be using that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because as we get more comfortable at this stage, it just means we have another stage. We're human, right? Mm-hmm. Which means we're here to evolve, to learn, to grow. if we're growing, sometimes it's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
Really not flying the freak flag at half mast or just on the flagpole. I mean, it's flying high and whipping in the wind.
Yeah.
And that can be very scary. And a lot of us have seen people, and maybe we've done it ourselves, where we'll wear clothes simply to get attention.
Mm-hmm.
Or we'll be the class clown because we're covering up a hurt. We'll be belligerent for that same reason, covering up a hurt. But if we're safe to be us, it's really funny because our voice octave becomes lower because we're in our body. We're not up here and talking really fast, but we're just very comfortable. And when I started saying that, we have very, very good friends, and the story's in the book. They live in Massachusetts, and they would come down and visit us every summer on our little island in Virginia and hang out for a week or so at the beach. And then we would trek up to Massachusetts for a show, but then to hang out with them. So we see them in July, as usual, and then we're up in November, as usual, and she and I are hanging out in the kitchen, and she looks at my shoes, and she starts scanning me up and down. And I'm thinking, all right, this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
And I go, what's going on? She goes, your heels aren't that big. And I went, yeah, so? I'm like, what's the deal? And she's, I've never seen you so tall.
Mm.
I went, what? She goes, yeah, I've never seen you walk so confidently. You're in your body. You've gotten taller.
Wow.
And I went, yeah, okay. That sounds nice, but yeah, okay. And then we did a show a few weeks later in New York, complete strangers, two women across the aisle. They asked me, how did you get to be so tall? And I'm going, this is just too weird of a random,
Right.
question. I'm like, all right, so again, I'll file that one into the cabinet. So now I'm 2 for 2. This is just getting more and more interesting. And then we had Thanksgiving dinner, and Thanksgiving for us is this big day-long affair. Friends, family come over. I've been married to my husband now 30 years, so I've kind of known his brother for a bit. He comes over and he gives me a hug and a kiss. He says, how you doing, tall sis? And I stop and I look at him because he's never called me tall, ever. Like, all right, this is just really, what is going on? And it was just one of those questions, shake my head, scratch my head and go, I don't know. And I go to the doctor a few months later, having bronchitis, so not feeling super well. I had grown 1 inch.
Wow.
I am now 5'9". Now, I went to the doctor. That was 2 years ago. I went to the doctor just a few weeks ago. She measured me, and I said, how tall am I? And she looked at me like I was nuts. She goes, you're 5'9". I'm like, all right, I am 5'9" now. Who knew? And it's really weird because, I took ballet for 11 years. So I know good posture.
Yeah.
I practice yoga, not religiously like I would like to. But I do. I do downward dog with my dog all the time. But the point is I know good posture. So it's not something that all of a sudden I learned how to stand up straighter. But I've gotten taller.
Mm.
Feeling more safe to be me. Feeling safer to be silly, to be quirky, but to be empowering.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And when we feel more safe to be us, you get really cool people jumping in to help you. Oftentimes for free. Mm-hmm. Just because they think you are this amazing person, no matter what you're doing, and you start getting accolades. Sometimes it's an award. So I did get an award for my first children's book, the 2013 Mom's Choice Award for bedtime stories. But again, I put the book out because it was time. Mm-hmm. So you start getting the accolades. You start getting recognized for who you are. Award-winning author? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe that's not what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're just simply meant to be you and have a great life. There's not a national or international stage and fame for you. It doesn't make you any less worthy or any less magnificent. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It just means you're you.
Yeah. Well, that's the most important thing.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah. And plus, we can all get taller.
I know. And it's really cool
that.
because it's not just me. It's I've had other clients or people sitting in my audiences, and they'll raise their hand when it's time for question and answer, and I'll say, yeah. They go, I listened to your lecture last year, and I really loved it, but I had to tell you, I've gotten taller. Like, wow.
All right.
So I'm not going to say you're going to get taller. That's not a guarantee, but I'm certainly not the only one.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So it's a very, very cool thing.
That is cool. That is cool. Okay, so I'm wondering if we can tap into the angels and see if there are any messages.
Sure.
See if they want to chit-chat with us.
Okay, so what do you want to ask them?
Let's ask if they have any guidance around my business growth.
Okay. Yes, you're dancing a little bit of nervousness, trepidation. So begin to, why is it safe for me to be me? Why is it so easy for me to be successful?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I deserve to be successful? Because you have a great presence. You have a lovely voice. You have a beautiful message to share. But you do a lot of jump starts, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll get out there, but you don't see the fruition of your getting out there as quickly as you think. So listen to that word, think, you're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it takes a little bit to gel. So we'll jump off and we'll go out on that limb to be visible. And they're like, yeah, no one's listening. I'm going back in. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that, the tortoise going back in its shell. It takes time for the rest of the world to step up and get in cadence with you. And during that time, so think of that time a little bit more as a marination time, getting even better. Mm-hmm. You get to hone. I'm not going to say perfect because we're, again, human. Let's drive that point home. It's never going to be perfect. But you get to hone your message better, right, so people can understand it better. It's growing. Your business is growing. There's no doubt about it. They're being funny. I'm now seeing balloons flying all over the place, like in celebration.
Nice.
So I can't count how many balloons there are. And we talked about signs earlier. I shared the image of balloons, and I am getting full-on body chills. And the balloons all have streamers coming down. There's confetti. It's like this whirlwind. Confetti's going. It's coming down, but it's going back up. So the confetti's just all over the place. So it's celebration. Nice. It's celebration time. So yeah. I picked a card for you from my deck, of course.
Yeah.
And the card that I got was laugh. Mm. Laughing not only shares your happiness with others, it magnifies your connection to us, the angels. But you can, the angel that one comes from is Jophiel. Jophiel, I call the joy-filled angel. And I see Jophiel as a her. She reminds you, you are your most powerful when you are in your joy. So we can be very proactive and very, very business focused, but when we become more driven, the joy goes by the wayside. Mm-hmm. The joy sits on the curb and waits for us to come back around and pick it back up again. So that is your reminder to stay in your joy. Yeah. And you're going to soar, sweetheart.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that so perfectly resonates. All of it. All of it resonates.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. All of it.
All of it. Like, oh my gosh, how did she know?
I will be aware of balloons. I will take that as a sign that I'm on the right path whenever I see balloons. So.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, and they were all different colors. Mm-hmm. Actually, do see a lot of yellow, which is one of Jophiel's colors. Blue, red, purple. And different hues of the colors. So some are on the more metallic side, which I'll take as very sparkly, but also sparkles. Metallic, metal, money. I'll pull that, a little bit of symbolic meaning into that. And now they're adding to it. There's a big banner that's going across. Congratulations. The couple of exclamation points at the end. So yeah, I mean, your business is going to go. Just be patient with yourself because you're a leader. Yeah. But as a leader, we get the idea, the concepts, and then have to not back up, but let it marinate. They want to use that word again, so we can then share it with those that are following, so they understand it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's definitely something for me to continue to learn.
Yeah, and it's true for all of us. But it's letting the message sit a little bit within you, and then asking, what is the best way for me to get this out there? Yeah, and using that open-ended question. It's a little bit vague, but that's what an ask-formation is. But the best way to get it out there means it's your voice still. You're not regurgitating me or anybody else. You're being you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's that practice of asking and then listening.
Yeah, and so sometimes the ask-formations will be answered fairly quickly. Why is it so easy for me to find a great parking spot? Okay. Sometimes, why is it so easy for me to make gobs of money doing what I love? Can take a bit longer. Only because, we will still do human, which means we'll still do stupid and self-sabotage. But at the same time, the angelic realm is lining up other people and events to get you where you are meant to be. Mm-hmm. Whether it's meetings, like years and years ago, I had a business partner. We were designing jewelry, and what I was able to take from that union was that, I can now make or design jewelry. But our first piece was part of an Oscar swag bag. Mm-hmm. Sounds impressive, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, we thought we were like the best thing in the whole world. Just ask us, we would have told you. Nothing came of that. Yeah. We're not ready. And shortly, about a year and a half after that, the business partnership ended. Mm-hmm. We didn't play nice in the sandbox anymore. But like I said, the union made me at least more comfortable, not quite confident yet, that, I can bring people to me to help me execute my ideas. Mm-hmm. Jewelers. Yeah. Now candle makers and other great people. So each thing is a step in your direction. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's being willing to ask, listen, and then take those steps. Follow the guidance.
Right. It's being proactive, mm-hmm. which sometimes can be misinterpreted as micromanaging. Yeah. Yeah. And we can't make anything happen, but we can be proactive in getting it to happen. Mm-hmm. And being part of being proactive is allowing us to receive it. Building up our self-esteem with, not in that egoic sense, but allowing ourselves to go, well, yeah, I do deserve to have my perfect home, my perfect mate, my perfect job, my perfect money amount. We all want a great home, car, mate, money, but we want our definition of it. If we all wanted the same house, it'd be really boring. Mm-hmm. So we all want it, but our flavor, and which makes it so not wrong, or you are so not greedy for wanting it. It's just perfect for you.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Thanks.
So I wonder if the angels have a message for the listeners.
Of course, they always do. They're such a chatty bunch. It's an epidemic, and it certainly builds on what we were just talking about. Their message that they are still consistent on for everybody, that you are worthy to have all you desire. Mm-hmm. That's it in a nutshell, and worthy of all. Think about what they just said. Your perfect home, your car, your monetary income, your mate, your health, your joy, all of it. You're worthy to have whatever you desire. Mm-hmm. And that's what the angels help us to do. They're here to serve us. Mm-hmm. and anything that is of our heart's resonance, not our egoic resonance. But it's what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
And what really, really makes you happy.
Yeah. That's what's important.
It is. That is exactly what's important. And that's what the angels are here to help remind us about who we are, what gets us excited, what gets us juiced up, and how much we deserve all of that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and having fun in the process.
Have fun. Have fun. So you have a super, super special gift for the listeners. It's a chapter of your not yet released book.
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you mentioned. I completely forgot. Yes, I do.
And it's a chapter about Archangel Michael. Is that?
Yes, they will get Michael's chapter. He's the one that I start everybody with because he is the warrior, the known warrior. He is the patron saint of the police force in our country. So he's all about protection. And when people really get more into the woo-woo, the metaphysical, the spiritual, they get like, oh my God, this is so cool. I want to chat with the angels more. And those lower energies, which I know they exist, but many people choose to think it's made up. Trust me, lower energies, aka negative, are very, very real. By calling in Michael first, you maintain a protective shield around you. So I don't wish anybody to get hurt or have things not nicely attached to them in their what could be a very beautiful spiritual journey. So Michael's always the one I introduce people to initially when they start dancing and playing with the angelic realm.
Excellent. Well, that'll be fun. That'll be great.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah. So how can the listeners find out more about you and all your, I know you have amazing, all sorts of fun, beautiful, amazing goodies on your website. So
thanks.
Yeah.
Well, my website is angelchatter.com. I am on all sorts of social media under my name, Alexandria, and we have a fantastic closed group, which means we keep it sacred. It's called Angel Chatter. It's on Facebook. It means you have to ask to join, but one of the hard, fast rules is what is said and shared in chatter stays in chatter. And it's an amazing, really amazing group of souls from all over the world. Quite a few have actually become friends, physical friends, not knowing they lived miles from each other prior to joining the group. So it's this wonderful phenomenon that's been going on within the group. And like you said, angelchatter.com is my website. Everything on there is something that they have indeed directed me to create from our beautiful sun drops, which are sun catchers with intention, to my oracle cards, our angelic candles, sacred mixtures and roll-ons, good intention candles, and of course the growing line of jewelry in all sorts of ways. So it's never ending.
Yeah.
It's never ending. It's so much fun.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This was like so much fun. And
yes, it was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, lots of really juicy info and great tips and oh my gosh, yeah, great messages. So thank you.
Thank you for having me on, Angela.
You're welcome. And now I'd love to hear from you guys. Did you enjoy this episode? If so, subscribe to the show. And of course, it would be absolutely amazing if you share this with all of your friends. And if you want even more incredible resources, join the Awakened Goddess community to get Chris's gift and bonus content from each show. Until next time, goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. I hope you enjoyed today's guest and got something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at theawakenedgoddess.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.